All right, hello and welcome back. I'm here in the lobby, or the foyer actually, sorry, we're the Opera House, they don't have a lobby, with Sarah Brin, our first keynote speaker. Hi Sarah, how are you?
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great that you can make it, and an amazing talk on the metaverse and going back to it, even though it's kind of been taken away from us for a few weeks now. I have to touch on this because we talked about this a bit earlier, and especially with the Omega Mart that you were discussing, you had a sort of even anarchistic sense in it maybe, which I love and touches really close to home with assembly and the demo scene, which is always kind of towed the line of some sort of anarchistic touch. So how do you feel about that? Because the metaverse has kind of been, I don't know, not an open source project, but maybe a communal project, and now it's being, like you said, taken over by the rich guys.
I think you'll see a lot of really powerful movements and also technologies start off as subcultures.
Yes.
And then once people realize that money can be made, t-shirts can be sold, these movements and technologies get more popular and commoditized as much as possible. That's why we have Che Guevara t-shirts, you know, and like on the other hand, I'm really excited that artists can get paid, right? And creative people have a new way to make money. But at the same time, I'm grateful to have spaces like this where we can be critical, where we can be skeptical, and we can hold folks accountable.
Yeah, I mean, even you guys making Dream, you're finding your employment in the metaverse. It's not like we want to just create this anarchistic, I don't know what to call it, but it would be nice if we as the community had some say in what is being created.
Absolutely, and I think that's an interesting thing about user-generated content. So things like Dreams, things like Roblox, things like Minecraft, like that's been proven that it can make a lot of money. However, if you look at the monetization models, you see who is this making money for? And it's like, you know, it's often for large companies. So I'm really curious about what more fair and more equitable monetization for user-generated content can look like.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because right now the users are often the product, not so much, not even the consumer, but the product, and it's a bit off-putting on a personal level at least.
It's complicated because you have so many people being creative, which I love, and doing things that they feel really passionate about, and they're building things that I personally could never imagine.
Yes.
But and it's really cool to have that space, and it's really cool to see things we wouldn't normally see. But it's really tricky, it's complicated. So that's why we need to kind of keep on prodding and pressing the buttons, being like, how do we feel about this?
Definitely, that sounds great. We're getting a bit too far into the politics, maybe, well, not too far, but we could go very far, so let's pull it back a bit.
Okay.
And you were talking a lot about discovering the storylines and non-linear storytelling, especially with your really, really buff, what was it, Mega Penguin?
Mega Penguin.
I loved his style. That is just absolutely amazing. And you spoke about the storyteller's role as well. So but how do you feel about, because some people feel that stories should maybe go back towards the classical style, and that we've gone maybe too far into a sort of postmodern storytelling culture, which I say pish, but let's not go into that. How do you feel about, especially because non-linear storytelling is, like you said, it's a very old way of telling the stories, and giving the storytelling role that it's not just one person, it might be multiple people and it might be passed around. How do you see that, especially going forward with the metaverse?
I don't think we have to worry about a storytelling monopoly at this particular moment. I mean, there's so many types of stories and so many types of authors. And so what I would say is the most important thing is to make sure that we're giving more and more people the opportunity to tell these stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to ensure that we keep on finding interesting things.
Definitely. Especially, do you have anything you would like to give as advice maybe to people about the storytelling? Like how should one approach it in the metaverse, especially with collective and maybe even group storytelling happening? How should we, as storytellers or possible storytellers, go into that?
Embrace wild ideas. Prepare for failure. Be ready to practice.
That was really good. We'll end on that note. So thank you so much, Sarah, for coming and for this short interview. So embrace your ideas and let's hope we create a more equitable metaverse together. Thank you, Sarah, for being here.